All right, guys, thanks for tuning in to Bill Lewis Fishing TV today. I'm Brian Latimer. Today we got on the phone Brett Preuett, and we're going to talk a little bit about decision making and how that plays a huge factor in tournament success. I know a lot of you guys out there fishing clubs. You may fish BFLs or whatever the case may be. Some of you may even fish some of the higher level tournaments, AAA or tour events. And as you know, making good decisions and really just kind of reading the water as you go plays such a big factor in how well you do. So Brett just had a really awesome finish at St. Clair. And I'm sure, Brett, being from Louisiana, I'm pretty sure St. Clair is the polar opposite of anything that you've ever fished in Louisiana, I can imagine. Is that correct?
You're exactly right about that, Brian. Just going into it, being a Louisiana boy, I never grew up fishing for smallmouth. The only experience I really had fishing for smallmouth just was an open tournament I had when I won the college championship. I fished the Northern Opens, and that's the only time I've been up there around that area and really targeted the smallmouth. And actually, that year I did good at fishing Lake Erie. We had a tournament there in the Northern Open, and I caught almost 20 pounds a day there and did good. But so going into the St. Clair tournament, I was wanting to go to Erie and catch the fish in the same place, which was Pelee Island, because it was a 70-mile run, and because that's the only thing I was comfortable with. I didn't get no information from nobody, so I never got to fish St. Clair before, but I had fished Erie and done well there. So first day of practice, I was thinking to definitely go to Erie.
Right. Well, Brett, here's the biggest thing. I would imagine most of the people that are going to watch this probably haven't really been to a northern fishery, and much less one like St. Clair. Like, help people understand exactly how featureless and big and the skill of St. Clair, because I've been there before, and that place is like none other. Even some of the other northern fisheries up there. I've been to Erie, been to Champlain, and those places, on St. Clair, they literally just float around. There's nothing that the fish hang on. They just float around, and draw a picture of how featureless and how hard it actually is to find fish on a place that big and that featureless.
You're exactly right, Brian. Just going into that, that's what made me really nervous about it, because that's what I heard about it being so featureless. And so I tried to find them on Erie, like I said, the first day, because on them places, Champlain, St. Lawrence, you're fishing structure, and you can almost count on that smallmouth being on that rock and being there. But St. Clair's a whole nother ball game. When I got it, I did not catch them the first day of practice on Erie. Didn't do nothing at all. So I spent my second day. I was like, I'm going to have to figure this out here at St. Clair. And when I got out there, Brian, I was like, man, it looks the same everywhere. It kept staying 10, 12 foot, and then I'd go to another part of the lake, and it'd just be nothing but 15 foot the whole entire lake.
Right. And it's very intimidating, because, like you said, you literally will drive a mile or 2 miles out in the middle of the lake, and you won't even get a foot of depth change. There's no change, and the only thing that you really have to target there is sometimes there's some grass lines. I'm not sure if that was even a player at this time when you guys were there. There's a little bit of grass, but for the most part, there is nothing out there for you to target. And being from the Carolinas, where we fish humps and points, stumps, logs, docks, we're always throwing at something. That was a huge stumbling block for me. And I can imagine with even a shorter practice for a Elite Series tournament, is even harder to think, where do I even start in the big picture of this thing?
You're exactly right. I mean, growing up fishing cypress trees and knowing that fish is going to be on that tree and that log, it's a big difference fishing smallmouth in open water and not knowing where to start looking like you can at some lakes with rock and things they're going to hold to. So luckily, Brian, it was really windy that day of practice, that second day that on St. Clair. And I looked down on Lowrance Electronics and seen that there was about 2 foot grass coming up off the bottom about the whole entire bay. So I was just like, well, what's something I can cover a lot of water with, and it's 3-4 foot waves out here, windy as can be, and it's storming, raining off and on. So
Sure.
my instincts just told me largemouth fishing back home. I cover water on a big flat. A rattle trap's a great thing to do it with. And
Right.
I actually picked up a 3/4 ounce trap. It was a chrome and with chartreuse on the top.
Right. I know.
I
Exactly
just
what
went
you're
to
talking
covering water. Went to
Right.
just putting the troll. I think I went for 3 hours before I even picked the trolling motor up once. And the first 2 fish that bit doing that was actually close to 6-pounders. So that's what kept me doing it. I knew I was on the right size, and I just kept marking in every so often. I'd get 1 bite, maybe 2 bites, and I'd mark that spot. And
Right.
and
Now,
so,
What do you think the fish that you caught in this when you were fishing the trap? What do you think they were feeding on? Was it the perch, the alewives? What was the gobies? What was the deal that they were feeding on when you caught them?
I think they was definitely after the perch. There were
Right.
some really big sized perch in that grass. You could actually see them on the graph stacked up. They'd be bigger than the actual shad that you normally see. And if you threw a drop shot out there, you could catch some of them. And it seemed like any time you was around that where you actually caught a perch or something on a reaction bait, there was some big smallmouth somewhere around them. So that's something I started trying to key on was when I seen them perch on the grass, and I got a big bite on that trap that day. I'd put me a waypoint there and say I'm
Right.
gonna try to expand on this in the tournament.
That's such a big part of fishing those fisheries up there, because I imagine people at home, they look at the weights from that St. Clair event and they think, oh God, everybody's catching 20 pounds. That must be easy. That's somewhere I need to go. And I know from experience, going to those places, it's great when you're catching them, but you have to find something that you can cover a lot of water with, because there's a lot of dead water there, and you can very easily go hours and hours and hours and not catch anything, and just wondering like what's going on here. But that's good that you figured out to pick up that trap, something you could cover a lot of water with, figure out what the forage that they're feeding on, and then kind of keep on building from there. So now, you figured that out in practice. You got the trap bite going. You know how to.
And like you said, that third day of practice, I spent hours without a bite in other parts of the lake. So
Right.
that part of the lake that I caught them big fish on didn't have a ton of bites, but every one of them was over 4 pounds. I was like, I'm just gonna spend my whole tournament trying to getting them 5 bites, knowing it's not gonna be a lot of bites apparently for me wherever I go. I was gonna stay in that areas where I got them large bites at.
Right. Now, going into the tournament, was that a pattern that you could use all 3 days in the tournament, 4 days, or did you have to adjust going into it? I'm pretty sure if it's anything like my tournaments go, that's all booty washed away.
You're exactly right. I ended up starting in the area where I caught one of the 6-pounders on the trap, and I had the trap on, planning on trying to throw it all the day, but the conditions was different. We had a lot less wind. It got pretty calm on St. Clair, and that's whenever I caught one big one on the trap right off that morning at daylight, and then it just kind of got slow for me, and I was like, that's whenever I had to make some adjustments and switch to something a little bit more subtle that make as much noise, and I switched to a crankbait and a swim bait.
Yeah.
And really started and put. I think I only got 7 bites that first day, but I put 4 more of them in the boat, and it was definitely the right ones.
Right. That's such a big deal. When anytime you're fishing in general, is just making those adjustments to weather, but to be able to make those on the fly during the tournament, because it's always easy to see afterwards, but to be able to adjust like that during the tournament, especially with smallmouth, because they are seems like weather sensitive. Just any type of wind or cloud, sun, any kind of weather difference seems to really make those fish do a lot different things than.
You're exactly right. That second day I caught them good on that when I switched to a crankbait right off, but that afternoon I caught 2 coals on a swim bait, and so I go in the third day. I need to start with the crankbait because that's still what I caught the more fish on, and they wouldn't eat in the crankbait as good. So I picked up the a swim bait and caught a couple good ones right off on it. So it just, but some reason after that morning bite, they didn't ever get back. They started eating everything very weird for me the third day of the tournament. And I lost a lot more. Like just smallmouth, they just was in a different mood or something.
You're just gonna lose them. It seems like that's just a part of smallmouth fishing. You're just gonna lose some of them. It's like you need to count on getting 10 to 12 bites so you can catch 5. Seems like.
You're exactly right. I had more bites the third day, but they was in a different mood. They was eating it a lot better the second day. I kind of caught it most everything that bit, and that third day, man, they was in a bad mood because I was just hooking them, and they was only staying on about 2 or 3 seconds and immediately coming off. And so because of that, I had to weigh in 2 small ones. I weighed in like a 1.5 pound and a 2-pounder, and and the thing that sucked is I had like 2 5-pounders, and I lost probably 6 or 7 that said they were just being different that day, and I couldn't hook up with them. I was losing them. So if I could have just got one more of them, I'd have been in the top 12. But it was definitely a fun tournament. I had to adjust every day with the smallmouth, from practice, from everything. Every day was definitely a different day for me fishing for them out there on St. Clair. Just one little attention to detail with smallmouth can mean the difference between make you getting a top 20 or coming in dead last, which is it's totally different from the largemouth.
Right, exactly. Well, that's awesome, man. I'm glad you had a great finish there at St. Clair. It's a good way to end up the season as well. And Brett, tell them, is there a way that people can follow you on social media or any kind of YouTube links you have?
Oh yeah, you can follow me at on Facebook just at Brett Preuett Professional Fisherman, and then also on Instagram on Brett Preuett. But I'm definitely gonna have I have plans on getting me YouTube started and getting some videos out to y'all this winter. Winter's my favorite time of year here down south in Louisiana. I love hunting and I love fishing, and I really catch some big fish. I'm looking for some topwater stuff on the stutter step in the fall coming up. I'm a big time topwater fisherman growing up down here, and I love it. And definitely going to be having some videos coming out to y'all soon, also this winter or something.
Well, Brett, we'll be looking forward to seeing those videos, and I definitely appreciate you taking time to walk us through your St. Clair event here. I'm glad you had a good event there. Caught a lot of big smallmouth. I know exactly how fun that is. And I appreciate you taking time to walk us through how everything went down in your tournament. So you guys out there watching, if you can follow Brett on social media, follow him on YouTube, follow him on Instagram and Facebook, and definitely make sure you stay tuned right here to Bill Lewis Fishing TV. We're gonna have a lot more exciting videos for you guys, exciting topics. Make sure you comment in the section below because we want to hear what you guys want to talk about. We want to hear what you think about this video. So till next time, we're out.